Now let's check out results of the poll which I had posted on Twitter and Instagram. Woo! Looks like I need the Redmi Note 5 Pro and the Zenfone Max Pro M1, which means that today we will find out which is the better Pro in terms of the camera. So do watch the full video as it's going to be really interesting and exciting one. Hey guys, this is Piyush from Telepathy, and today I am going to compare the cameras of the Redmi Note 5 Pro and the Zenfone Max Pro M1. So let's get started. But before we proceed further, you make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. So guys, today I am having the devices which are currently the best two budget devices in the market. Both the devices are having almost the same hardware and the specifications of these are nearly the same. But apart from the hardware, the camera specifications tell us a different story. So let's find out which one has the better camera. Now before talking about the cameras, let's discuss the camera configurations for both the devices. Starting with the Redmi Note 5 Pro, the device is having a dual rear camera setup with one 12 megapixel lens having f2.2 aperture and one 5 megapixel lens which is not a telephoto lens but only uses depth effect for the portrait mode, and it's having f2 aperture. It can record videos of up to 1080p at 30 frames per second. On the front, it is having a 20 megapixel camera with LED flash which can also click portrait selfies and can record up to 1080p. Now, the Zenfone Max Pro M1 is also having a dual rear camera setup with one 13 megapixel lens having f2.2 aperture and one 5 megapixel lens which is also not a telephoto lens but only uses depth effect for the portrait mode, and it's having f2.4 aperture. It can record videos of up to 4K resolution in 30 frames per second. On the front, it's having a 8 megapixel camera with LED flash and it can also click portrait selfies. Alright, now let's take a look at some photos and video samples and we can see which device is performing better. As you can see, the photos taken by the Zenfone Max Pro M1 has high saturation and some artificial colors, but the photos of the Redmi Note 5 Pro seems better and more original. The Zenfone Max Pro clicks overexposed pictures which lack sharpness and detail, but the photos of Redmi Note 5 Pro gives us better sharpness and details. Now, talking about the portraits, both the devices click some decent portrait shots in daylight, but by looking closely, you will see that the edge detection is far better on the Redmi Note 5 Pro than the Zenfone Max Pro M1. On the objects also, I noticed that the Zenfone Max Pro photos are slightly yellowish and the Note 5 Pro shots seems more real. Now, shooting photos in HDR mode, you can clearly see the better picture and color quality in photos of Redmi Note 5 Pro. Look at the color of sky, it's far more natural than the photo taken by the Zenfone Max Pro M1. The exposure control and color reproduction is very nice in the HDR mode of the Redmi Note 5 Pro. Now, coming to the low lighting conditions, you can see photos from both the devices are soft, but the photos of the Redmi Note 5 Pro maintains better sharpness and better exposure. The photos taken by the Zenfone Max Pro M1 looks a bit dark and the colors also look faded. Now, Moving to the front camera, let's check some selfies. As you can clearly see, the Note 5 Pro clicks cleaner photos with good color reproduction and better sharpness. In portrait selfies also, the Note 5 Pro seems to perform much better than the Zenfone Max Pro M1. Looks like the 20 megapixel front camera of the Note 5 Pro is surely making its impact. Now I will try the video mode in both the devices. Both the videos are recorded in 1080p from both the phones, but the video of the Redmi Note 5 Pro seems more stable as it has electronic image stabilization. I am walking while making the video, so this should clearly give you the idea about the video recording with both the devices. While the Zenfone Max Pro M1 video is not stable enough, but it can also shoot videos up to 4K resolution. So that's an advantage over the Redmi Note 5 Pro. This video with the front facing camera of the Redmi Note 5 Pro, and as you can see I am walking while making this video, so it can clearly give you the idea about the video quality from the Redmi Note 5 Pro. Now I am recording this part of the video with the front facing camera of the Zenfone Max Pro M1, and as you can see I am walking while making this video, so it can clearly give you the idea about the video quality from the Zenfone Max Pro M1. So guys, combining all the photos and videos, the Redmi Note 5 Pro seems to have a clear dominance over the Zenfone Max Pro M1, not with a minor difference but with a huge quality gap. Although the Zenfone Max Pro M1 is having the advantage of 4K video recording, but still the Redmi Note 5 Pro surpasses it in every aspect. The Zenfone Max Pro M1 only performed somewhat close to the Redmi Note 5 Pro in the HDR mode, but in all the other aspects the Redmi Note 5 Pro is the clear winner. The Redmi Note 5 Pro is having a good dynamic range, better exposure control, and the white balance is also accurate. The stabilized videos and better portrait selfies of the Redmi Note 5 Pro are also an added advantage over the Zenfone Max Pro M1. Overall, if I had to choose one device between these two, I will definitely choose the Redmi Note 5 Pro. What are your thoughts about these devices? And if you want to choose one device in terms of camera, which one will you choose? You do tell me in the comment section below. I hope you like my video, and I will be very curious to show you some more interesting videos like this in the future. So do subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated with me. For the time being, goodbye guys, and see you in the next one.